Okay, hello. I hope that you are doing fine. In this moment, we are broadcasting in live through YouTube Live. And hey, hello, hi. And I want now to connect by Facebook Live. Please be patient. In a few minutes, we will start our interview uh, uh, in this night. Hi, hello. And now I am saying you a words of welcome to all of you who are start to connecting through Facebook Live. You are very welcome. Thank you for coming today. We will have a conversation with Dr. Elizabeth Roberts. So you still have time to maybe write some questions if you want it. Also, we reach your questions that you let me know this afternoon. Thank you for your participation. Maybe you need to know that also we are broadcasting by Facebook Live. By Facebook Live. You are very welcome, beloved people. Just in a few uh, minutes, we will start our conversation. Please have patience, and you are very welcome. You are very welcome. Okay.
You already have people connected?
No, no, but as you know, several persons will be reach the video before. So for that reason, I know that person will be reach more later, but I am sure that also we will have people in several minutes.
How long you can record your?
It's a very good question. Uh, Let me check. This camera just allow 29 minutes.
Okay, but you said you can record in the computer, no?
In fact, you are recording. In fact, you are recording. When you are recording by Facebook Live, you also are recording.
Yeah.
Also, I am recording in YouTube. Also, I am recording in both systems. But it's true. It's true. Maybe for if this interview will we will have maybe 40 minutes, will be necessary to uh, record in two parts through this camera.
It's possible to do it in two parts.
Of course, just stop it and one more time. The problem is not the memory. The problem is the camera, the device, not the memory stick. No, the problem is the camera. That for in fact, it's not about the technology. It's devices on these sites and don't allow it to record more than 29 minutes.
Well, because it's not a video camera.
No, it's possible to do, but it's according to you need to buy another device to do that. It's just for to invite you to buy other device. Yes.
Tricky manufacturer.
Yes, yes, exactly. Your computer is
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay.
The birds are really going to town right now.
They are crazy.
Sounds so beautiful. The birds at morning and now.
Yeah, they're up early.
Okay. and I forgot the question.
Okay, we have a question. So you guys, I guess we should clarify, are you gonna ask me the questions, or do you just want me to read them and go through them?
Yeah, how do you prefer?
Talk?
Okay. And also, before we finish with some recommendations, recommendations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, please. So, how do you prefer, Jorge, to read by us the questions, or?
I don't know. So, doctor, for you, it doesn't matter the way?
No, I'm fine. I mean, if you don't mind me just.
Or maybe we you about these questions. Maybe some questions can be responded at the same time, maybe two, or I don't know. Do you suggest to us to put together some questions, or is
No.
fine just in one by one?
It's fine, one by one.
Okay. We
You
are.
and I? Okay. Okay, I will connect now. This is not the best.
Hello.
This is.
Hi. Thank you for. I am realizing that
I'm sorry.
you are starting to connect. Hi. I hope all of you are fine. Just a couple announcements. Please remember that tomorrow all of us we are invited. If you are able naturally. Tomorrow having our half day of fasting. If you're held allowed to do that, please read the post in Facebook, and maybe you can realize that maybe not all the people are allowed to participate in this half day of fasting and pray. But if you're held allowed to do that, you are invited also. So tomorrow, the half day, if you wanted to participate, will use the time for praying and for reading the Bible, and we will finish together at noon.
Okay.
Actually, in our homes.
Okay. Westby and Chihuahuas. Piropa. Could you starting, Jorge? I don't know what happened now.
Did you open in Chrome?
Sí, pero now I don't know where is Piropa.
For a while, Pastor Erica will connect with her churches. You are invited to connect by this coming Sunday.
Welcome to everybody at Westby and Piropa United Network. They are also Dell, Faith, this session of questions and answers. And many of you already know. I would like to introduce to she also works in the clinic. And to us, it's a big bless and a privilege to have it, to be so. So thank you, Elizabeth, for being here.
Thanks for having me. I should maybe just say I'm not here officially from Vernon Memorial, so some of you out there in the internet land may have had more time to surf the internet than I have in the last week or so. So you may actually have better answers than I do, but I'll give you the best ones that I know.
Thank you. And also, Pastor Jorge is here, and I am Pastor Erica Martinez. So, thank you. So, there is many questions that we actually already have for you, and we hope to have the time. But also, I inviting you, if somebody of you would like to send your question, you are welcome to do it. Elizabeth will try to answer us, so feel free to ask to us. So there is many questions we have today. So the first question is, will COVID-19's virulence change as outdoor temps increase?
Yeah, so we're in luck. I actually just did read an article about this. You guys may know that the influenza virus does live better in cold situations, which is why we have a flu season. But unfortunately, my understanding is that COVID virus is not actually temperature dependent. So I think there's been myths out there about whether if you live in a warm or humid place, if you have less risk of getting COVID. Unfortunately, our spring weather coming, I don't think is really gonna slow or change the potential for outbreak.
The second question, Doctor, first of all, one more time, thank you, Dr. Elizabeth, for this conversation.
Absolutely.
I have other question. If you get the virus and recover, are you then immune? Can you go out into the world and not worry about getting it again? And if the virus returns next year, will you still be immune?
All right. Well, so here's what I know about that. This is just in us trying to figure out our own healthcare staffing at Vernon Memorial. So my understanding is that once you get the virus, you do have some level of immunity. We talk about our healthcare workers. Once we've been exposed or have it, then that's actually kind of a blessing, because then we could return to care once we've recovered to take care of people who have had it. But that said, I don't think anybody really knows how long that immunity lasts, and like a lot of viruses, things change very quickly. So the part of the question asking if the virus returns next year, are you still going to be immune? I don't think anybody knows. I think in terms of our healthcare conversations that we've had, we've talked about like a 6-month period, but I really don't even know what that's based on exactly, because again, we haven't been that far out from the start of it, right? So yes, it looks like you can show some immunity to it and then be around other people who are sick and be protected in that way. But for how long, I think it's anybody's guess at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what should you do? I mean, I know this is pretty new and there is many answers, many questions in the air. So the recommendation is somebody record about virus still be in quarantine, or
No, for people. So you just have to wait it out, I guess.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Your turn.
What do you think about the homemade masks people are sewing? How effective are they?
Run on that stuff either, and we need to be cognizant of how much we have and how much we may go through. So I like that people are just sew things because it may be very helpful to us. That said, at least my understanding of what we are asking for and can use, and one of the things we're kind of clamoring for at work is making sure that we have the proper technique of donning and doffing these, because it's really easy to mess it up. And in fact, then having two things, the original mask and then the cloth thing that goes over it, you just have that much more potential to end up infecting, because you have those two different surfaces that need to be really, you have to be careful with it so that you don't recontaminate yourself. The process, I guess, of taking the mask off is actually the most kind of dangerous thing you're doing in the process of that, because that's typically where people mess up that whole process. So yes, I think the cloth masks are good, and it can help us extend what we have. But my understanding is it's not just that we're not looking to just wear a cloth mask. It goes over an N95 mask. So yeah, I appreciate the people who are sewing those, and I guess, in the best case scenario, let's pray that we don't have to use them. So don't feel bad. I guess I would love it if we didn't have to use them. But I'd rather, way be prepared. And if we do need them, great. So.
I know you have this answer, but which one could be the best fabric to do it?
Oh, so I know there's specific patterns that are out there right now that have very specific instructions and probably say specifically what fabric. I think it's just a cotton that people are using, because I've even seen some people repurposing dish towels. And again, it's not that you're gonna wear this cloth mask on your own and walk out in the community and think that it's giving you some protection from getting COVID. I don't think that's the purpose of what, at least what we're asking for in healthcare. But if you want specifics, at least with Vernon Memorial and pretty much any other hospital, they've kind of really specifically said, this is the pattern we want. And then you just want to follow those instructions to the letter.
Yeah.
Doctor, I want to jump a little more because one question is related with face masks.
Oh, sure.
My understanding, this question is for a person. I remember that I saw at one of the big stores here in Virocua, maybe a couple of persons having face masks.
Yeah.
Face masks. I want to ask this question. I have heard that the use of face masks are not useful, but also that is a way to avoid touching the face. Touching the face using a face mask. So in conclusion, the use of face masks are recommended or not?
So I think for the general public, if you're just out in the world, I don't know that there's been documented evidence that that's protecting you from anything. If you have known direct contact with a person who is COVID positive, then obviously, yes, wearing a face mask on and wearing all the proper protective equipment, right? I mean, at that point, you need eye protection, you need gloves, you need a gown. And the hard thing is you just don't know who is infected, and you need someone who's spreading and sharing the virus without knowing it. So are we all going to walk around in the world with the same stuff? And I guess it depends on what your, what your purpose is and how comfortable you are. But I think, unfortunately, I don't know that just a mask in our day-to-day interactions is going to be enough. And like I said, there's also the potential where actually, while you might have that perception that it's keeping you from touching your face, I would probably beg to differ anytime I have ever worn a mask. But I'm somebody who I'm constantly touching my face anyway. But I mean, those things itch, they're hot, they're sweaty. Like, as soon as you put on a mask, I bet you're not touching your face any less. So I don't know, that's just my personal take on that. But do I all think you should go out and wear masks around the community? No. I mean, we're trying here to be our 6 feet. I think you're way better off thinking about how much you're washing your hands and trying to keep your social distancing than putting on a mask and thinking. I think that probably gives you more of a false sense of security. That would be my take on that, I think. Yeah.
There's another question. When we should to go to the hospital?
Yeah.
In what moment is we should to say, yes, I need to go and to make me the COVID test?
Right. So the official answer on the ARBA cases of COVID-19 in Vernon County, no, not since I left the hospital an hour or so ago have I heard of anything official. There's a few tests pending. That said, to prove that, so there's no official case. The really hard thing with that is we can't test everybody, right? So there's these tiers of testing, tier 1, tier 2, 2, 3, and 4. And so there's, anybody who's really sick in the hospital with fever and unknown or unexpressed respiratory symptoms, healthcare workers that are sick, people over the age of 60 or that have you'd say comorbidities, but the unfancy way of saying that, and other illnesses that put them at risk. So they have lung disease or heart disease or diabetes, or they're pregnant, or they're immunocompromised. Those people, if they have symptoms right now, can be tested, but pretty much we're not testing anybody else. So I think the numbers of reporting that you see are, so we only have a certain number of swabs, and then there's a limited amount of ability to process all those through a lab. So hence the tiered system. And then your question about when to the hospital. I mean, if you have a fever and respiratory symptoms, or I would also maybe make the caveat of if you have gastrointestinal symptoms and a fever, some people are presenting for COVID with gastrointestinal symptoms, and like can actually be told to shelter at home and wait it out for the 14 days. But if you're really getting short of breath and have things that you can't manage safely at home, then obviously you need to come in. So Vernon Memorial has a respiratory clinic set up, and if you've been around town, you might see that on the east side of our building, there's a red tent and there's a special parking area. And there's also a hotline. Man, I should have written down the number. If you look on the website, I'm going to say it wrong if I say it out right now, but there's a hotline number that you can call, and the nurses are getting really good at triaging. There's a whole triage process of questions to figure out who needs to come in, do you qualify for testing, and so a lot of that is, and that said, like over the past week and a half, that changes honestly, like every day, and sometimes every couple of days. I think we've had the longest kind of period of not changing the criteria for all this, probably just in yesterday and today. Otherwise, it would be like every day you come to work and like there'd be a different set of like criteria for who you could test and who you couldn't. And initially, we were able to test more people, or we had more people coming because they had some, exposure or travel or reason to think that they might need to be tested. So it makes it interesting because if you're looking for a disease that can be, expressed in such variable ways, a lot of us who could have mild cases of it, we're never going to know, right? Because we're not doing testing on those people. So eventually, I'm sure we will have a positive any day now in our community, and maybe that will come from somebody who's sicker than the rest of us who could have it.
And to inform the people who is already watching us.
Doctor, I want to ask two questions. In fact, 1% without one.
I think it is possible to not have a fever, but I think a high percentage of people at some point during the course of their sickness have a fever. Are you going to absolutely have a fever when you present to medical care? COVID, I think pretty much everybody does have a fever.
Okay. Doctor, the second question is, I will try to join two questions. I guess both questions are more for the end of this conversation, but we have no order, a specific order. I want to join two questions. How long do you think it will be before we experience the brunt of the disease in this area? And second, in the other hand, I believe that many people is asking the same, including me, including the most of people. When do you consider? I know you have not a magic ball. No, I know, we know. When do you consider that we will be able to return to normal life where we can already have churches?
Yeah, help our economy along and hoping that we'll get back to normal sooner than what my gestalt is for how this happens. I mean, the whole point of physically distancing each other, right, is to change that curve. So if we do this really well, it's actually supposed to take longer, right? Because if we do this poorly and our cases shoot up and we overwhelm our healthcare system, we'll get it over with quickly, but we'll get it over with quickly by doing a really bad job of it and having a lot of people die. Whereas if we stay away from each other, then we still may have the same number of cases, right? But they get stretched out over a longer period of time. So I don't have the sure answer, but I guess I kind of feel like it's going to be months.
Yeah.
I don't know. Makes sense? Like, is it our politicians that are going to tell us when we can go back to being social with each other? Is it the World Health Organization? Is it the CDC and the fact that we're just really tired of sitting in our house by ourselves? I don't know, right? So it's a loaded question of when, when is it truly safe? I think, if we did it right, it would be a long time. It's probably not the answer you want to hear.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
The next question is obviously, all these questions is about our concerns and our fears and everything. But is the Inverno Memorial Hospital equipped to handle cases of COVID?
Yeah, well, so I can tell you, I mean, that's what I've been busy trying to figure out. So our hospital, of course, everything has gotten turned on its head in the last week or two that we've been doing this. And we have that respiratory clinic that's really meant to treat and find the COVID virus and keep that kind of contained separately from what we're trying to do with just generally taking care of everybody, and do that in a way that can best stratify and lower our risk of contaminating each other. So my role and how our hospital is prepared, I'm on the team of let's make sure that we can still take care of all of our patients. So our outpatient at home, so as much as we can do things on the phone, if it's managing your diabetes over the phone or whatever, if there's something that we really truly have to see or listen to or feel or touch or whatever, then obviously then maybe the benefit of bringing you in outweighs the risk of the exposure that you get in the community or at our facility. So to say, yes, we're equipped to take care of you even if it's not COVID, and on the flip of that, we're also preparing to take care of you if it's COVID. That said, I mean, we are a small community hospital, right? So there's some great advantages to that. I think our response to this and setting up a process of preparing, we've been really good and really limber, and I would actually say ahead of the game in a lot of ways compared to a really big health organization that just is a much bigger entity to get moving in the right way. So yeah, we're preparing at the same time, and we don't have an ICU. We typically don't take care of people on ventilators in rural Guam, right? If you needed to be on a ventilator, in ideal times, we would put you on an ambulance or a helicopter or whatever, and we'd ship you to La Crosse or Madison. And so again, what we're trying to do with our social distancing, and we are very prepared to do that. We've all take care of patients in the hospital with COVID. There's lots of different algorithms and I don't know if you say experiments necessarily. There's lots of different ideas out there about medicines and different ways that we should be treating, and we're all very much trying to steer there in the hospital and different experimental medications and antivirals and processes for what things should happen.
Just the information about, she said about the hotline. I have this information, Vernon County Health Department. The phone number is 608-637-5251.
Royal has a separate hotline that does go to the nurses at the
Nurse
respiratory clinic.
hotline?
Yeah,
It's 608.
yeah, that's
Okay, so nurse hotline, Bernard Memorial Hospital, nurse hotline 608-637-4990. I repeat, 608-637-4990.
And that does get answered on the weekends too, and it's just a great way if you have the questions and you're wondering, like, I feel sick or I have these symptoms, should I be coming in? Do I need?
Okay.
Doctor, I want to connect your response with the next question. I think it's a very common question. Is it possible to detect the disease in a person?
Body tests that exist, they are not currently at our hospital, I will tell you that. It's even out of stuff that like our lab, I guess, would normally have. So that's a priority issue for us to figure out if and when and how we could see if we can do that. But yes, and especially for us as healthcare workers, that could be a game changer in terms of knowing whether or not, like if I've already been exposed or already have immunity to the virus, then I am a much more useful person than somebody who, could maybe be on call for if you have it without symptoms or if you've already had it and are immune. And yes, all that stuff, I guess, exists and is in the process of being more probably available. Yeah.
I will encourage the people who is already connected, so please ask the questions. This is our opportunity to clarify our doubts and to have it's a question that is possible that the coronavirus could be transmitted through cigarette smoke.
So it is droplet related, right? So the reason why we wear masks and eye protection and all that is that it's droplet related, so it floats in the air, right? And I guess I would have to assume, yes, I have not seen any official, I haven't read anything official on that, but I mean, smoke is in the air and air is in the air, dust particles are in the air, right? So I would assume cigarette smoke is necessarily any more of a vector or risk. I mean, although obviously it's damaging your lungs, and anything we can do at this point to have really healthy hearts and healthy lungs improves our chance of survival with COVID, right? So you probably don't want to be around cigarette smoke, whether it has COVID floating around in it or not.
Doctor, for the next question, I read some, maybe not the words jokes, but naturally it's very, very important to keep the spirit in high.
Yeah.
Having a good humor, humorize things also, I believe is important. And the last day I was very, a funny time reading posts on Facebook for many people saying, yeah, I am an essential worker. I am considered if I am an essential worker during COVID-19 pandemic. How is it possible to know who is an essential worker?
Yeah, well, so I'm probably totally not the person to ask for that, but I can tell you when I was driving home yesterday and listening to public radio and the recommendations about that came out, somebody had asked that question to the public radio host and commentator, and they basically said it's like super complicated and is like a 40-page document, I think, within the state of Wisconsin. So they directed them to a phone number at the Economic Development Center or something like that for the state of Wisconsin and said that you should just go. You might not have known if you were an essential worker or not, but probably by today you've already figured it out. But I don't have it, as far as healthcare goes, we don't have any say in who is essential or not. That's something that comes from the government.
Doctor, I want to ask for a question for myself, maybe for our community, but others believe that yes, because we are trying to encourage people bringing hope. I know. Please don't worry. You receive that people need to see. Is asking for see the pastor. In my interpretation, yes, I am considered myself and my work is essential. But if other is viewing the same thing, they say no, it's real. It's not essential. Essential means other kind of things. But
Oh, well, I mean, my personal view would be like, yeah, of course it's essential, right? I mean, we're not just physical bodies, we're spiritual beings too, but again, that definition of essential doesn't come from me. I mean, we can theorize about it and have our own personal opinions about it. And of course, like, you know, if we're in the worst case scenario and, you know, our hospitals are overflowing and we're trying to take care of people who are dying, if you want your definition of essential, my guess is that probably somebody's going to want you there, right? So I don't think there's really any doubt that, you know, spiritual care is essential, because of course, you know, more so than other things. If you're going back to the government definition and you're looking at like people who provide food and infrastructure and, you know, are to support people for that, can they, you know, repair your car or make sure that your truck can deliver the groceries or whatever, or take care of your healthcare needs, I guess, right? But I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting question. I don't know what the government said. Did they tell you, are you not essential or are you essential?
in my understanding about the government definitions, in my understanding, we are not essentials. This is my understanding.
Yeah.
But okay, we are not taking care about the bodies. But
Somebody asking, actually, my mom is asking, and she asked why the people who has high pressure or diabetes, they are more
At risk of dying?
yeah, exactly.
So my understanding is, first off, just to clarify, it's not that you're at risk more to get COVID. You know, it's not more contagious to you, but then the thing is, if you do get it, your heart and lungs and immune system just aren't as prepared to fight it. And what happens with COVID is that you end up, you know, some people get secondary infections, meaning that, you know, you start with a virus and maybe you end up with a bacterial pneumonia. But the other thing that's happening is people's, you know, livers and kidneys are failing and shutting down. So if you have any sort of compromise already and your body is already, you know, not functioning optimally, then it just makes it, that process goes downhill. I don't know that anybody there might be more risk. So one of the questions with high blood pressure is some of those categories of medicines that we use to treat high blood pressure. I've heard from like the Heart Association. I saw something on this today come through my email feed, is that they're not recommending to like pull everybody off. Isn't functioning as well as somebody else's. There's a lot of different reasons about why it would be more likely to die.
Riesgo de que debido a que el cuerpo no está al 100% funcionando, pues corre más riesgo de que se complique la situación.
Y más que eso es el medicamento, que hay algunas clasificaciones de medicamentos que ponen más riesgo.
do you speak Spanish very, very good with a very nice accent?
Oh,
yes,
es un acento ecuatoriano.
She speaks Spanish, yeah. So thank you. Are there any vaccines or other medical products to prevent COVID?
Not yet. Yeah, no, I mean, I think everybody's frantically trying to make a vaccine, and I think I've heard that, you know, there's been some initial trials of that, but I don't have any practical advice to say, like, you know, take this or don't take that. I think the one thing maybe to get out into the world is that ibuprofen thing, right? Which is why you can't find acetaminophen or Tylenol right now on our shelves very well. There's also not thermometers apparently for But ideally, if you think you have COVID, you're going to be better off treating your fever or your body aches with Tylenol. Seattle, California, China, that ibuprofen has some bad effects with the virus for some people.
Already contagious. In a period of 10 days, this person could have the symptoms. But how long it takes since it's just, this is just a simple flu, it's flu, but how long could we take with the flu and to be confirmed the symptoms for COVID? Do you understand the question?
I think so. Like, at what point does it get really bad if it's gonna be
Yeah,
COVID and not just
I mean,
cold?
for example, it's an example. No, today I feel a little headache, and I think I feel with flu. Probably could be flu, but it's flu. You know, the 2-3 days is just flu. But how long it could be taken between?
Makes sense. So I think what you're trying to ask is, like, okay, I've got some relatively minor cold symptoms. Is this going to develop into something that I think is COVID? Mm-hmm. For some people, it never would, right? And you'd never know. Was that COVID or was it just the flu, or was it? And right now we're having a lot of overlap, right? Like, flu season isn't over yet, and then we also have the start of allergy season right now. So there's all this gray area of respiratory symptoms. Could still be influenza A, could be COVID. That said, I think part of your question is, what it seems like is you can have these kind of milder symptoms, and then like around a week point, 7 days or so, like some people get really sick at that point. And then the other scary part of that is people go from being like, yeah, whatever, this is, just a normal cough or cold or respiratory symptoms, bam, like needing to be on oxygen or needing to be intubated, within a while, and then get sick really quickly.
Doctor, just before, if we can talk a little louder, because Iris said the sound is not good. I'm sorry, Iris, and I'm sorry for everyone. We will try to talk louder.
So it's the distance from each other, and then it's how to fit us all in the camera frame in such a way that, sorry, the recording device is far away from my mouth.
Pets calls. I have 2 questions. The first, pets are in risk to be to have this kind of COVID-19. And second, pets are what is the word? Okay, in the case that pets are not allowed to be contagious for that illness, can be transmitted to human beings. What are the care
where that pets couldn't get it? Although I'll tell you that, I don't know, Greg, if you're watching this, maybe you can type in. A few days ago, he told me, I saw something where maybe a dog or something thought that had tested positive for COVID. So I don't know. I mean, what I can tell you is COVID is a zoonotic virus, which means to a human. So, I mean, in the same way, we're saying at this point, I think officially, that it's not transmitting back, scrubbing your hands and trying to keep your dog from getting COVID. But I don't know, right? I mean, if something can transmit from an animal to a human in the first place, can we transmit it back to them? I mean, you got to think maybe, right? But apparently that isn't officially happening that I know of. But I'm probably not the best authority on that. Should ask our local vet. I'm not sure. And Greg, if you can type in, if you're listening, you can tell us what you saw, because I don't really know. I know you just kind of anecdotally told me that somebody's dog somewhere has COVID. Not in Baroque.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, doctor, you say something that I am very interested to know. So it's confirmed that the virus was original illness from an animal that was transmitted by human beings, or I read that human beings.
Yeah. I don't think anybody knows, like, for sure. I apologize. Like, yesterday or something, I saw, like, they kind of thought narrowed it down to, like, 2 different types of animals. But I couldn't tell you now what that was. But yes, it's a zoonotic virus, meaning it came originally from animals.
I'm very interested about that topic because one of my researches is about the care of creation.
Oh, yeah.
The care of creation. And part of my research is not about this topic, but it's a more general topic, water, wherever. And the human beings also, we need to try with respect the nature and the creation, and about the care for creation, about behavior as human beings about creation.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess, for us, we'd say God's way of, like, forcing us to take better care of our planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not, our carbon footprints are dropping because we're not driving and flying all over the world. We're trying to take better care of each other as humans, but also better care of the world around us. So, I guess if just nothing else, I think it's a way to, I hope it helps us wake up to do that, and to get better care of the things around us,
mm-hmm.
right?
Robert, Greg Robert, you know him.
I know him good. Thanks.
Talking about that.
So maybe it's official. Maybe we can give it back to our dogs. I don't know.
So, but if somebody is interested in this topic, there is the link by Greg Roberts about this. And also he said that I wouldn't worry about the dog thing. He said that. Obviously, we are receiving information from everywhere, TV, radio, and for example, when you arrive to your home, is almost to take off all your clothes, and before you came into the house, and obviously to wash your hands and everything. But this is necessary to do, to take off your clothes and your shoes before you carry?
Yeah, good question. I mean, so I can tell you when I go home, like, I'm in these scrubs because I don't touch my kids when I get home, right? I take off my stuff. I have a official rag that I brought with me here so that I'm wiping everything down that I touch at church, because I don't want to contaminate people that are going to be coming into this building. So yeah, I mean, I think your official, you have to wash your hands a lot. Do I think an average person in the community that if you went outside and you're following the physical distancing recommendations, do I think you need to come in and change your clothes, wipe off your dog's paws? I guess we're not doing that at our house. I'm doing that as a healthcare vector, bringing, I go out into the world, I see and touch a lot more people and things that have a higher chance of, having contact with this virus, right? If you're not somebody who's prone to a lot of anxiety, I mean, feel free, please do the same thing I'm doing, change your shoes, take off your clothes. If you can create a super clean place in your house, by all means, I mean, I don't see why not. But on the same token, if you're somebody who is gonna, develop into OCD tendencies because you're frantically trying to, wipe down every surface, then that's not exactly what I want to promote either. But I know there's good guidelines out there. I don't have anything officially in front of me as to, like, when I was on the CDC website today, there's easy stuff that you can click on and it'll say, touch it, and I'm trying to keep it clean and wipe it down, and then half the time my kids are picking it up and so things that we touch a lot, I think it makes a lot of sense just to really try to be careful. There's the 60% alcohol sprays. Those, they function a little bit differently, right? So like there's things like wipes, but then if you're spraying something, you're actually supposed to let that surface dry. You don't wipe it. So you spray your alcohol thing and then it dries for, I think it's 2 minutes. And then your, whatever surface you're spraying is supposed to have the virus killed. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of common sense things we can do, but I think probably the biggest thing is just wash your hands a lot. And I guess the whole touching your face thing, but like I said previously, I'm horrible at that. But yeah. And then I guess, I mean, maybe when you're talking just common sense or final classes people are taking, this whole idea of social isolation and physical distancing seriously, I'm worried that as we get longer into this, that people are going to start to get more lax and not be as diligent about it. And I've definitely seen, some of our you're nuts. So, I really get worried if people are, around their grandchildren a lot, and then their grandchildren are around other things. Like, I think people get laxed amongst their own families. And that's hard. I guess at one point, my parents were going to come back from Texas and they were going to be in the apartment that they've been working on over our garage. We were having all these complicated discussions about like, can we be around them? Can the kids be around them if I'm around the kids? And all of this, and a lot of that still, I think, applies not only to my family, but to other families out there. Like, I think we have to take protecting our vulnerable populations really seriously. And then at the same time, I guess I hope my message to people who fit into that category of vulnerable populations, like, please take that seriously. Like, we're doing the best that we can. Do your best to take part in trying to follow the rules, so to speak. Yeah.
No, I don't know. We talked about many very important topic. Well, the same topic, but about different ways to see this situation and recommendations and suggestions. Finally, Doctor, I am very interested. Maybe we don't ask you one important question, but you wanted to say something that we don't ask you. Do you have a final, maybe we forget asking you something that may be important that you to express?
Whenever it hits, and I think there was maybe one question on there about like, when can we expect like the onslaught of this to happen? I mean, every day I think at some point we're going to have our positive, right? Like, all of our surrounding counties are starting to have some positives. So within the next couple weeks, I think we may have it here more, and in our hospitals and whatnot. And if we can keep that to a low roar by doing it. And then I guess, the positives are, in addition to, I think we're preparing well, I guess I like to be an optimist and think like, even though we don't know when life is going to go back to normal, and I don't know that it will ever look exactly the same, I guess I think we're going to come out the other end. I like to think better for this, right? Like, I think we'll maybe we'll do things differently, like you said, care for our earth differently, care for God's creation differently, care for each other differently. If you're looking for positive things to focus on, I think a lot of people are getting extra time to care for themselves and spend time with their families. And a lot of the things that we can do to decrease our risk of, either being affected by the virus or really sick from the virus are things that we should be doing to take care of ourselves anyway, right? So this is a great time to, eat your fruits and vegetables and go out and, get your 30 minutes of good heart pumping, cardiovascular activity a day. Go for that brisk walk out to try to get your 7 hours of sleep at night and work on your bedtime ritual and just optimize some of those things. Like we've already talked about, it's a great time, even though we can't physically always be in the same spot. I think a lot of people are probably going to come out of this with stronger relationships. So it's a great time to work on that, or it's a great time to become a better prayer or a better meditator or whatever. So I think if this allows us all to live healthier, ultimately, then that's a positive, I guess. And that's all stuff that we have well in our control, right? Like I think a lot of times people get really scared and nervous and anxious about situations that they feel like are out of their control. This is a fabulous example of, feeling like there's all these things that are spinning out of control around us. But if you look at what we can control, there's a lot of that there that I just mentioned that we have a lot of control over and ultimately is going to make us happier and healthier. So focus on that.
Thank you. So thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for being here. As I explained you at the beginning, it's a big privilege to have the opportunity to talk with her, and because there is all the work you should be doing now is overwhelming to you, and thank you because you take a space to us. And I know you are a busy woman, not just in your work, also in your home with 4 children and a cat and a dog, and a dragon. So you have
a picture of Gus, the lizard on his head.
Yeah, so thank you, really
absolutely.
appreciate this. And God bless you. Thank you for all the work you are doing.
Sure.
Now.
Yeah. I guess I'll just say, reach out to me if you didn't get your question answered or something comes up in the coming days. And drop me a line on Facebook or something like that, and I'm happy to do my best to figure it out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And also, before leave us, I would like to pray for you. I will pray for your family, and also for Jane. Jane she's a nurse and she's a member of Westview United Methodist Church. So both they are hard workers, and I talked with Jane yesterday, and she told me, yes, we are very tired and we are working a lot extra hours.
She's our employee health person,
yes.
So she's got a lot going on.
So, but praise the Lord for all the work for you. But thank you in advance too. And for those who don't listen to us very well, I'm sorry for that. But also don't worry too much about that because we already also record this. And Chuck, he will be typing the entire conversation we have, and we will send it to you, to all of you, and a copy by email or regular mail in case you need it, about all the information we received today. So thank you, Chuck, also for doing this, to willing to doing this. So thank you for that. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, all the people who be together and listening to us. And thank you again.
See you virtually Sunday morning.
Yeah, see you Sunday. Let us pray.
Oh, sure.
Heavenly Father, right now we want to say thank you for Elizabeth's life and also for Jane's life. Thank you because we know they are now our heroes, and they are now preparing and working alone to be ready for any kind of emergency. Obviously, our expectation, our hope is that all the work that they are doing now and all the preparation done will be necessary. But Father, thank you because they are ready for any kind of emergency. We pray for Elizabeth and Jane. We pray for their families, and we pray also for all the doctors, all the nurses, and all the workers, health workers, and all the people who work in the hospital around with your church. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Where's Pete?
Hey, well, good. I'm glad you guys did that. Hopefully that will be helpful to people.
For sure.
Of course, a lot.
I'll be curious. I'm hoping camp still could